So we're finally here, right at the end of the season, and literally on Tuesday we're going to reset into a completely new one. But before I talk about the new one, I just want to address like the ending of the one that's just passed, because oh my god, it was tragic. And what I mean by tragic is it was awful. Damn awful. It could have been a lot better. Like, I don't mind the fact that Osiris has woken up. Like, if that's a spoiler for you, then I'm sorry, but the cutscene is literally on Bungie's main YouTube channel. It's literally impossible to miss. So Osiris is awake, and the way they woke him up was they brewed him a cup of tea or coffee. No one really knows which one it was, but either way, it was a tea or coffee. And you could have done 101 other things with the Primal Darkness from Nezarec than make it into a coffee or cup of tea. Like, I would have really appreciated if Mithrax and Ido kind of teamed up and managed to harness the Darkness power into an energy, and then that was given into Osiris. But no, apparently that's not creative enough. And then there was the kiss from Osiris and Saint, and I'm going to be honest, it felt forced. Like, there was no reason for that to be a thing. I don't know why Bungie opted to do that. Like, the community's known that those two have been kind of a thing for a while now, so why they forced it into a cutscene like that, I'm not exactly sure. I remember talking to somebody else about this, and the opinion I had on it was it could have just done a nice embrace at the end, and that would have been perfectly fine. Like, I'm not upset with the fact that they kissed, I just really don't understand why it needed to be there. Like, just for similar context, it would be the same kind of thing if Zavala and Sophia kissed at the end of Season of the Haunted. Like, Bungie could have literally have just done Osiris wakes up after a long slumber, and by the way, not as an ink painting as they did, but as an actual cutscene. They could have, like, just go in with the continuity of they've made it into a cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is. You could have literally have made a small cutscene where Saint is handing this to Osiris. He then obviously takes a sip, or he smells it, or whatever the hell he does with it. And then Osiris slowly wakes up and the two of them embrace. Like, that would have been a perfect ending. Like, that's exactly what we need to know. But enough about the most disappointing season in Destiny 2. I'm going to try and look forward onto the new season, and hopefully something new will come of it. So let's visit the good old-fashioned rumour mill, because there was quite a few... They'll say it was leaked ages ago that we're talking about what could potentially happen in some of the future seasons, but this is something that's becoming a bit more solid nowadays, and I am hoping it is true, and that is the next season is going to be about Anna Bray and Rasputin, which I'm all for, because it's been so long since we've had Anna Bray in the main storyline, literally from Beyond Light, and even then she wasn't really a main character. Elsie was taking the stage most of the time, but there was a bit of interaction between the two. So if Anna does show up in the new season, it's going to be nice to see her get some screen time again. But then for the actual story content, I'm under the impression it's going to be Rasputin being put into an EXO, and that's how we're going to go forward with it. Because this is something that was rumoured quite a bit ago on the Reddit, and also I think someone said it was in the leaks, but whether it is a leak or not, I am not sure. It was just a random text document that came out in Season 16. So all this is hypothetical, don't worry about this being a spoiler. But then we actually point on to the dungeon that's going to be coming out, because the dungeon can literally be anything, being as it should be brand new. If it's an old dungeon, I'm going to scream. And by scream, I mean scream at Bungie, not in a happy scream. And the only thing that Bungie needs to do to make this dungeon a surefire success is to not make it like Duality. And what I mean by that is don't release it as a goddamn buggy mess, because players tend to get very angry at things like this when everything just seems to slip past playtesting. Like, one of the most known glitches for the Duality dungeon is that when you actually swap between the realms, you could instantly die, even if you're inside the circle, which makes no sense, because that's exactly how the dungeon is supposed to function. How that slipped past playtesting, I will never know. But as far as the dungeon goes, like the concept of it and what it's going to do, I would personally love to see a dungeon on Europa. Because let's face it, there isn't a dungeon on Europa at the minute, and it's a planet that's just sitting there not doing a great deal. Not to mention that if we are going to be dealing with Rasputin and putting him in an EXO, Europa is the perfect place to do it, because that's where all the Braytech science labs are. It makes a lot of sense just to make a dungeon there. But something to actually bear in mind as well, which this isn't like theoretical anymore, this is actually happening at some point in the season. We're going to have two events coming very early on in the season, and that is going to be the Dawning and also the New Year event. And why am I separating the two? Is because they will give you two different seals. The Dawning event will give you, obviously, the Dawning one, which is going to play into the Reveler, which I'm going to be chasing down to get gilded. But exactly the same as last year, there should be a New Year seal as well. So this one should be MMXXII off the top of my head. And just to throw out one last little thing as well, if I was Bungie, I would probably not release any seasonal content until the Dawning is over and done with, because that way we actually have a season full of stuff. You know, just a thought. That's just my 2 pence in the whole thing. But that's going to be it for this video, and thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I would love to know what you thought of this season and what you're looking forward to next season, if you are planning on playing next season. But I shall see you all next week when I have another Destiny video. Goodbye for now.